Did you get a chance to check out those Northern Lights last night?
I did. I was over at a friend of mine's last night, and we were watching the U of L UK basketball game, and he's like, come out here and look at these. So I walked out and I looked, and I was like, I don't see anything. He's like, you need your phone. I was like, seriously? You got to use your phone for this? I was like, I can't visibly see it. So it was pretty neat, though, when I looked at his phone. But
it was cool. And then I actually waited for my eyes to adjust, and I could actually see it for a little bit. So I thought it was, it's still kind of faint. It's not like if we were up in Canada and checked it out, but I thought it was pretty cool. But anyway, another chance of seeing that tonight. Looks like another beautiful morning in your backyard. Thanks for getting up on a chilly morning. Got the Weddington Custom Homes hoodie on myself.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, buddy. All right. So let me also bring this up here. We're talking about heating, since we just went through almost a near record cold spell for much of the eastern United States. So there are these different various heating systems. I have a unique heating system at my house, I would say. But so you go to energy.gov, you can learn more about all different kinds of heating systems, because invariably somebody's heating system is going to go out this year and through the winter time, and you might have to replace it. You might want to think about a different option. But you've got electric resistance heating, wood and pellet stove heating. My father-in-law's got a pellet stove heater, which is pretty awesome. We've got a wood stove backup that's on right now. We've got a fire going right now. Radiant heating, solar heating, furnaces and boilers, heat distribution systems, and small space heaters, and mini splits. So I've got the heat pump here, Brad.
Yep.
I guess, tell me, since there's so many ways to heat now and the technology increases, everybody's going for efficiency. I've got a heat pump. I've got a
you got a gas burner
backup if it gets too cold.
Yep.
And then I've got the wood stove that I do mostly to avoid using the propane. So what, I guess, start off with, what is your favorite type in our area? Because heat pumps don't work well in some parts of the country. Other systems don't work well. So what do you like around here?
We do a mixture. I would say 80% of the homes that we do is going to have a gas furnace with an outside AC heat pump. The other remainder is going to be made up of electric furnaces with outside heat pumps / air conditioners. So,
and that's what
those are the two most common systems in our area. Some of them do, straight gas heat with just an AC. Very seldom do you see straight electric heat with an AC. It's typically always coupled with a heat pump. So the way that the heat pump system works is it's got a reversing valve in there, because it's obviously making your air cooler in the summer. Now we got to warm it up in the winter. One of the things that a lot of people they got to think about, because you have a lot of the programmable thermostats now. Mm-hmm. So let's say you typically keep your house at, I'm just going to say for round number, let's say you got it at 70 degrees when you're at home, and these people, they might program it to where it drops down to 65 while they're at work. You have to be careful on a lot of these newer systems, because if it's coupled with a heat pump, if you follow me here, what will happen is if you change that temperature by more than 3 degrees, then when you go from 65 back to 70 when you get home, that's a 5-degree jump. That system's going to go, oh, we're jumping more than 3 degrees. Let's kick over to this backup furnace, whether it's a gas one or an electric one. Let's kick over to this to catch up, and then we'll maintain with the heat pump. So you can actually cost yourself a little bit more money if you do that, because the electric strip heat in that electric furnace is way less efficient than the heat pump. So to me, my big thing is consistency or adjustments of 2 degrees or less. That's kind of a big thing with me.
So no big swings with the programmable if you've got the heat pump. Now my sister and my brother-in-law, they've got those heating coils, and they've had that kick on, and like their bill went up hundreds of dollars.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It is not an efficient heat source. But around here, we don't have many days that are, sub 32 degrees, and the electric strip heat, while it's expensive, we're not in that time span long enough to where it's a major detriment. But when it comes to the actual, to me, the warmth of the heat, I'm more of a gas furnace guy. I just am, because you've got the heat coming out of that register at a little bit over 100 degrees, and your body being 98.6, you've got that nice warm blankety feel from a gas furnace.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got heat pump air, you know, it might be pumping through at mid 80s.
Warm up.
Yeah, it's mid 80s, which is warmer than the 65. You know, you're trying to get it up to 70. And
Hold on, we may have
the problem is, you got me back. Yeah, sorry, somebody was calling me. The problem is, you know, mid 80s is lower than your body temperature, which is 98.6. So even though it's warming the air up, it doesn't have that same warmth feeling to you. So
yeah, when we touch put our hand over the register with the heat pump, like it does feel kind of cool, even though it's warm in the house. But then when the propane kicks on, then it's got that nice warmth that you're talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But again, we try to avoid kicking on the propane. So we've lived in our house for 11 years. For the first time ever, I filled it like halfway back up. So we haven't used much propane, but my mom, it all depends on where you live too, Brad, because we don't have natural gas to our house. We've got the propane tank, but my mom does have, you know, she's got propane. If you live in a neighborhood or a city, maybe you have natural gas to your house. So I guess the location kind of matters as well.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. I would say 90% of our homes, they're going to be rocking off of propane because they're not going to be in a quote unquote developed subdivision. My house, I've got a buried 500-gallon tank in my backyard. So all I really see is a green lid. So yeah, very common for us to do buried propane tanks. Cause once you do that, so once you decide, okay, I'm going to have propane to this house for this furnace, well, that opens up doors for you. Cause you can go, all right, now that I've got gas here, how about we do a gas fireplace? What if we entertain a gas tankless water heater? You know, it just opens the doors for you.
All right. Next topic here is, we're still on the heating system. So if you want to go big, maybe you got a pond or some land. Again, you're probably not going to be in a regular residential neighborhood to do this, but geothermal. I have a friend that has geothermal. It cost a lot to replace it when it went bad, but you can recoup it, you know, maybe 5-10 years. So have you had any of your customers interested in geothermal yet?
We've done it on one house. And what turns people off on that a lot is that high upfront front end cost. Yeah. And then even when you do the breakthrough or the break even scenarios, the problem is on a lot of those break even scenarios, they're equating it dollar for dollar. Well, you know, most people are financing their house. So when you look at the break even with interest involved, it's still not quite there yet. It's getting there though. It's getting there. Yeah. As it becomes more commonplace, the parts and pieces and installation will be a little bit less because it won't be such a specialty in this area. Another one that we did it was pretty cool. It was up in Quarry Bluff in Jeffersonville, Utica area, and small lot. But instead of doing the horizontal shafts, we did the vertical shafts. So I think we had, and it was straight through limestone. I think we had 5 vertical 200-foot deep shafts.
200 feet. That is wild.
Yeah. It was something else. It was, and he used water he did heated floors in the whole house. I mean, it was top notch.
So speaking of heated floors, I saw this. I doubt it's common in our area, but radiant floor heat. So you said you had a customer that did this as well?
Mm-hmm. He did the radiant floor heat. Matter of fact, he even did a loop for the driveway so that he doesn't have to shovel his driveway in the wintertime, which I thought was pretty cool. The reason you don't really see that as much in our area,
he's got another phone
you're
call.
Typically going to see that more in your western areas or your colder climates, because it doesn't require, you know, if you don't require an air conditioning system, this is a really good route. The problem is where we live, you know, we're about a 50-50 mix of heat versus cool. And you already have to have an air handler to move that air. So you might as well do a furnace and an AC as opposed to the strip heating.
Right. Now, what I think is convenient, if you have kind of an off, maybe like kind of an off the grid kind of thing. Our neighbors, I think you know them. Yeah, you know our neighbors. They just built like a little cottage behind their cabin. And I've got a little cabin back in the woods, but and maybe a room that's kind of off to the side, a little party room or a barn. Now you've got these mini split options that can do that seem a little more portable. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but they can do AC in the heat. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know there's different vendors that you can look into for this option.
Yeah, we use those. We do those a couple times a year.
Wait, first off, what is a mini split?
Instead of having, so when you look at on your regular house, the outside air conditioner, that's your compressor, that goes to an inside air handler, which is a furnace. You know, it's basically, we call it a furnace, but it's got the blower motor and an A coil inside of that. What a mini split is basically an outside air conditioning unit, but it goes to a single head unit in the house. So it's not ducting it through the rest of your home. Where we find these to be the best are homes that have a bonus room above the garage, because it's one large open room, so you don't have to duct it from room to room, and you don't really want to dedicate an entire furnace system just for one room, and you don't really want to do a zone system on the rest of your house. Long story short, we put one of these mini splits up in a bonus room. Most of them come with remote controls, and you can turn it off when you're not up there. And when you go up, you can turn it on. It's going to cool that space. And it's going to make it more consistent with the level of the temperature of the rest of your home. So those work out great in small areas like that for sure.
And then if you have a generator, you could do one like off the grid kind of thing.
What do you mean?
Like, so my cabin back in the woods, like I wanted a heating and cooling little unit back for the cabin. The only power that I have would be a generator.
Yep. They're way more efficient. They are. They're way more efficient than just a standard system or like a window unit, or there's systems called PTAX, which you see in hotel rooms and stuff, where it's, you know, got the controls on the top of that. That's not very efficient either. So the mini split systems are extremely efficient for what you get out of them. Yeah, they're pretty phenomenal. And in some of the systems, you can actually do multiple head units off of one outside unit. So it kind of helps on the cost perspective. So yeah, we use those. I'd say I do probably 2 or 3 mini splits a year on our homes.
Okay. So last question, you know, someone out there is going to lose their unit. It's an old unit or whatever. If they're looking to buy a new one, you think just get out and get a few different quotes?
Always get a couple quotes on that. Make sure that the quotes are apples to apples. Make sure that you're getting a good system, because like anything else, you've got different levels, different grades of equipment, even amongst the same brand. You know, you might have brand A that makes 3 different products under different branding, with one parent company, and each one is different levels of quality that you're getting out of. The big thing to look for on air conditioning systems is what's called a SEER rating. Okay, that is basically going to equate to miles per gallon on a car. If you're looking at a car and going, okay, this 20 mile per gallon vehicle is more efficient than this 15 mile per gallon vehicle, it's going to be the same on air conditioning. The higher the SEER number, the more efficient the unit is. So that's one thing to pay attention to, because the higher the number, the better. But then you can get to extremes where you're paying too much for a more efficient system than what you're going to recoup over time. So I like to see anything over 13.5, 14 SEER
Okay.
is a good place to be. You get higher and higher and higher in SEER ratings, then you get into control boards that are low volt, and you got all these working systems, and it can get so intricate that sometimes it's a wash as
More
far as
things can go wrong.
yeah. If something goes wrong, is the cost to fix this part more than the efficiency that I gained. So just do some research on it. That's the big.
And we were talking earlier about the programmable thermostats. If you're just catching up with us, this is Brad Weddington from Weddington Custom Homes. Any questions you have, Brad, feel free to drop them in the comments. But one point that I thought was good here is, like, if you're doing the programmable thermostats, which we've always been bad at trying to do it, but they say, when you leave the house, really drop the temperature. When you get back, bring it back up. But again, just don't do it in too big of a swing, or it can be not helpful for your energy efficiency. Also, a reminder, I finally changed a filter for my unit yesterday, but I needed to get upstairs and change the other one. Just a reminder, good time of year to do that. It was really dusty because it had been a few months. So maintenance.
Yep.
I've heard you preach it before. Just kind of watch out who you go with. If they're asking you to check it every month, that might be a problem.
Yeah, the biggest thing when it comes to maintenance on a furnace is keep that filter changed. I mean, that's huge, and it is easy to overlook. But definitely change it at least once every 3 months. It's just going to help the efficiency of your unit. It's going to help the quality of the air in your home. I mean, it's pretty simple when you look at the efficiency of a furnace. As I'm outside breathing right now, I'm breathing just fine. If I put this over my mouth and try to breathe through it, it's harder on me. It's the same way of a furnace. The dirtier that filter is, the harder your furnace is having to work to generate the same amount of airflow. So little things like that you can just help. Because another thing, especially in the gas furnaces, one of the things that they have is what's called a flame sensor. So what that does is it's a probe that when the gas turns on and it ignites, it's sensing to make sure that there's a flame there. Without clean filters and a clean system, a lot of times you can get dust on those flame sensors. It's going to give a wrong reading. It's not going to let your furnace run. You've got a service call, somebody coming out cleaning that. So just keep the system clean is a big thing. Simple. And that's the biggest thing on preventative maintenance is just change that air filter out.
And we've had that problem in the summertime where the lines freeze up and your AC goes out because you did not change the filter.
Yeah.
So it could be a problem, no doubt about it. But anything else you want to mention about winterization, or also a shout out to you, by the way, with Weddington Custom Homes? Any potential customers and what they might want to know?
No, back into the whole maintenance piece. And then when it comes time to building the house, this is a conversation I have with people a lot of times. What kind of heat source do you want to use? The cool thing is on a front end perspective, if you've got, so a gas furnace is more than an electric furnace. But if you do a gas with an AC outside, the AC is cheaper than the heat pump that you have to have for an electric. So it ends up from a front end cost perspective, it's pretty daggone close in pricing. It comes down to, do you have the availability of natural gas? If you don't, is propane worth the cost? It is a little bit more money. But I truly think the heat that you garner out of a gas furnace is a lot better than what you're getting out of the electric, but that's a personal thing. So
yeah, there's always a balance between price and comfort and what's best for the individual. All right, Brad, thank you very much. I appreciate you waking up and early on this. Well, I guess it's not too early. It's 10:30, but getting out there on a chilly morning. I'm trying to catch up with you, by the way. No Shave November.
I trimmed mine up the other day and got my hair cut. I'm getting domesticated, I guess.
We were speaking of warming up. It's keeping me warm here in this recent chill. All right, I'll let you get back to it and get to work. And thanks for jumping on with us. That is Brad Weddington. You can see his website right there, weddingtoncustomhomes.com. Have a good one, sir.
See you, Ben.
See ya. All right, let's get back to the forecast here, guys. And again, there's his website right